Hello and welcome to Shane's Knits. I'm David and this is episode 1 of my new podcast. When I knit I like to watch a couple of podcasts, so I thought I'd give it a go. Now I won't be doing it in the traditional sense, mainly because I'm a slow knitter. So if I was to do like work in progress, it would be like, this is the 3 rows I've done this week. So we're not going to do that. We're going to I'll keep you updated as I go, but hopefully we can just generally talk knitting, what it's like as a male knitter, because there aren't that many of us. Whenever I tell people I knit, they're always amazed. So, today I've got some finished objects to show you. We can talk about my history of knitting, and I've got a work in progress to show you, and talk about my next couple of projects. The wool that I've got for them is about somewhere, and so we can do that very briefly. So first of all, finished objects, and the first one is this scarf which I've twisted. Here we go. So this is a scarf. I made it from my yarn stash, so it didn't actually cost me anything. It's black, white and grey stripes of varying sizes. It was made to match my coat, which is grey, my work coat. Started it in April, finished it in the summer, ready for this winter. It's a 2x2 rib, double knit on 4mm needles, and it's warm, and I'm already using it because it's already getting cold. So that's that. It got me a bit worried at various points, because I wondered if I would have enough of the wools to finish it. I didn't. So it wasn't actually quite so free as I like to make out. There is a bit of a colour discrepancy, but it's barely noticeable. I had to buy a new ball of wool, and it was never going to match the ones that I had in the stash that have been there for years. So, but yeah, it's warm. I don't barely notice the colour discrepancy. It does bug me a bit when I remember it, like now. But yeah, so that's that. That's about all that I got to say on that. 2x2 rib. It's very warm, very elasticy. I think it's a bit wide, so when I wear it, I do fold it over like that, and I wear it folded over, which means that it's doubly warm. Yeah, just in. I can't remember what the wool is, I'm afraid. It's acrylic, I know that much. I only tend to knit in acrylic because it's cheap. At the knitting club I go to, they keep telling me to try natural fibres. I said I will do one day, but for now, acrylic all the way. I do want to try and get off oil though, but then it's difficult, because oil is in everything. But yeah, acrylic wool, nice and cheap, nice and warm, nice and simple. My next one that I'm going to show is what was actually my first colour work, and it's this. It's a kid's jumper. The different colour arms we'll go through in a minute, because that's the back, but that is the front. So this was my first colour work. I designed that pattern myself. Didn't know how to do any threading or anything at this point, so what I did inside was I made a panel that goes over all of the yarn at the back, and then the different colour arms are because they're the railway signals. So the idea was that the lad that I made it for could stand out, and with his arms out he could be the rail signal, and then he could drop it when the train, it's in on the platform, and he stops it, and he then drops his arm, and he can pretend and play at being the signals. Yeah, so that's that. Unfortunately, it took me years to finish. It ended up as a side project. Well, I say that I go through periods of not knit, or I went through periods of not knitting. I'm trying not to go through another one of them. So it ended up in a bag somewhere, and didn't get finished, and the lad is now far too big for it. So, but that's that. That was my first colour work. By the time as I got onto the sleeves, I had learned how to do the threading, so the sleeve is much better than the actual image. But that's then it means it's still in my cupboard. It still goes at the side. So yeah, that's my Thomas jumper. Because I do go through big periods of not really knitting. So my history of knitting, my mum used to knit for me when I was very small. And growing up, actually, I can remember watching her knit and being fascinated by how the stitches stayed on the needles, but the garment got longer. And she just used to sit there whilst watching telly, knitting away. And as a young child, I tried to learn, and like everybody at that age, when they first start, it had holes and it went all kind of weird shape. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I threw the needles in the corner and didn't touch them again. Got very frustrated with it. Then when I was in my late teens, my mum took it up again, just as something to do. By this point, knitting was becoming more of a craft than a necessity. She had to do it when we were kids. It was a way of getting cheap jumpers, cheap worn jumpers. But yeah, so it was becoming more of a craft. And so again, I said, can you teach me? And she did. And I made a 2x2 scarf then that was a bit too small because I only had one ball of wool, and I got fed up of it. I started making her a tank top and cardigan. We'll see that next episode, the cardigan. So yeah, it's still on needles. This is how bad I get. So I did the tank top and started the cardigan. Never finished it. Tried to do the lace scarf that goes with it. Made a mess of it. Tore that back. I've still got the wool for all of that. And then that just got put aside. A few years later, I picked it all back up again, finished off the tank top and gave it to my mum, and you're talking a couple of years later, made some baby clothes for friends who had a baby and all this type of stuff. And then it got put aside again. And I recently took it back up with the cost of living crisis, thinking, how can I get warm clothes? How can I get them cheap? And remembered I'd got a bag of wool. And a lot of the wool for the scarf was taken, leftovers from the colours of the Thomas jumper. So you can see the two greys and the black. So there's the one grey, there's the other, and then there's the black, and those are the colours that went into the scarf. So yeah, so thinking I got a bag of wool, I could make a scarf. So I picked up my stuff, got my needle, got some needles again, and started making this scarf. And then just thinking, I quite enjoyed it, and so I thought I would carry on, make myself some jumpers and everything for the winter, because I tend to wear fleeces, but I've only got one or two of them, and yeah, I just needed more jumpers, so I could either go out and buy them or make them, and it would give me something to do. When I was last knitting, so before I picked it up again, I was looking at designing, because everybody designs, right? And again, this is a topic of another video. But yeah, designs come from somewhere. So I was thinking, well, why don't I try and design? The maths of it fascinates me, getting the pattern to work, getting it to work across various sizes. But I could never find out how to do it. So picking it up again, I found one or two small blog sites and trawled through inches of information to find out how to design something. And that then brings us on to the third finished object, which is this jumper that I'm wearing. So this wasn't made from a pattern. It's a set-in sleeve. It's in simple stocking stitch, and it's got a bit of a funny neck. I found some pictures online, and I based it on one of them. And basically what I did was I found a book that had got some measurements in, and where to measure and everything, and how to then convert that into your stitches. And I work flat rather than in the round, so it made allowances for seams and how to seam it up. and you know how to decrease under the arm, and get another website had how to get these two to match, because obviously you've got the different sizes of the stitches. So I had to go at it, and I sat down and I worked out the maths, and it worked out pretty well. Now the fit is wrong. If I bring my arm up, look, you can see under here we've got a lot of material, and that goes all the way back. Same around here. It's very loose, it's very baggy. The collar, I wanted it more there, so again you can see that it's not in the right place, but that's because I started it too low. But having made it, I now know a few of the places where I went wrong, and I can make adjustments. So I'm designing for another one. And more on that when I settled on the design. I've got the colour, but not the design. In fact, the wool is waiting in the wool shop. So yeah, so there's all of that. But I still quite like it. I still wear it. It's really nice that it is so big, because it goes over things. So if I'm cold, I can put it over my fleeces and my t-shirt and things like that. So it does work as a good bigger layer. It's lovely and warm. Even when I just have it, like at the moment with just a t-shirt, it's still very, very warm. I love it. So I'm going to be making myself some more. So that brings us on to, no it doesn't yet, but hey, there we go. We'll come back to that, making myself some more. So right, works in progress. Now these are going to take ages, so again, finished objects, works in progress, they're going to be few and far between. But I'm working on a scarf, and it's in my little bag of goodies here. And I did do a bit more than this, and then I ripped it back because the pattern wasn't quite right. So this is a pattern, when I can get the actual ball, there it is. This is a pattern that I've designed myself. So it's a cable scarf, you can see there. So I was down the craft club that we have down at the local wool shop, and the fantastic owner was getting rid of a batch and a few balls and that she'd had in stock for ages. So I got this really cheap. This is something, it's wool, and I can't remember the make of it, but it's a blend. It's a wool acrylic blend. It's actually really nice to knit with, and it's a fantastic colour, this wine red. And when my mum saw it, she's like, oh, I love the colour. So I said I'll give this to her. So this is a pattern that I'm working on, and I've designed myself. So you can see it's you can't really see it that well at the moment, it's not long enough, but there's a Celtic cross going on here, and then it goes out into diamonds, and in the diamonds there's moss stitch, and then my own little patterns that I charted out. So that will go, that'll be a full scarf, and I will keep you up to date on the progress of that. So that's our work in progress, and it'll still be on there for ages to come. I'm a slow knitter, and I'm very monogamous, but that is about to change as I bring you on to my upcoming projects. So next jumper is in this colour. This is a Stylecraft, yeah, Stylecraft special chunky. It's their gold colour. That's going to look fantastic. I've got a couple of swatches that I've made. I'm not going to show them to you. I think that we'll leave it as a surprise what that's going to look like. And then the other thing that I've got to put on needles is a scarf for my stepdad, who likes greys. My mum saw my scarf that I showed you, this one, and she said, oh, your stepdad will like something like that. That'll be really nice for him. So I said, well, what colours does he like? And she went, grey. So, like, you know, grey, boring. But hey, we like to disappear into the background sometimes. We like to mute ourselves out. So I went down, I got two Stylecraft. These are Aran. The reason that I go Aran, well, that I'm going Aran and chunky, because this jumper's in a chunky. These are Aran, is to do with my tension. Now, we'll talk about it. So I knit under the arm, and it creates quite a very tight tension. I don't know if you can see, but this is a double knit, and my double knit tension is 28 stitches by 32 rows, which is massive. It's insane tension. It's roughly the tension that you get with finger 4-ply, finger weight 4-ply. Are they the same? Don't know. Leave that in the comments. If they're the same, tell me in the comments. I'm still quite new to all the terminology. I'd only ever done double knit. My mum had said, oh, you know, when she was teaching me, you got tight tension, always knit a size bigger. Well, I'm a big guy. Yeah. So they don't do things in my size, and I've got to work a size bigger. So that was where I really had to learn about tension and, you know, how tension works, things like that. So, and making this, I started this in the summer, and I've not long finished it. I finished it a week or 2 weeks ago. So it took me months to knit, and I was sick of it by the end, and I've said, no more double knit. When I've got through the double knit that I've got, I'm probably only going to use it for scarves. I've got 2 more jumpers to make. One more like this, which is Aldi wool. I forgot to tell you what this was made from. No, we'll come back to it. So yeah, one more like this, because I've got the wool, and another one that is the same make of wool as the scarf wool, but different colourway. There's like a barley colour and a thingy colour. Yeah, a wheat colour. They're just different browns. So but that needs a pattern designing, and I'm too annoyed to do more double knit, so that's on a back burner. I'll get them out when I've designed and we're ready to look at the pattern. So what was I talking about that for? Yeah, Aran. So for my stepdad's scarf, I'm going to use Aran because it'll knit up quicker. And then for my jumper, my next jumper I'm using Chunky because it will knit up even quicker. And I need jumpers, it's getting cold. So right, back onto this. So this is actually Aldi wool. So I was in Aldi the one day and saw a pack of 4 balls of wool for £4.99 for the double knit. And I was like, oh, that's cheap, I'll have 2 of them. So I put 2 of them in. And yeah, that's what this is made from. So this is and it's just under the 8 balls. It's about 7.5, 7 and a bit. I started the last one about here on the last sleeve, so whatever that is out of the last ball, as well as having done a tension swatch to work it all out. So for £10, handmade jumper. What I will say about that wool, before you all go out and hey, Aldi wool £10, it's not very well spun. You get thicker bits, and then it goes a bit thinner, and then a bit thicker, and then a bit thinner. It's not really consistently spun. There were knots in the middle of the ball. But just like in annoying places, you come across a knot, you'd just be there knitting away, and there was about 3 knots per ball, and they get annoying because it's more cutting, more weaving in. But still, I'm pleased with it. But because I didn't know my size and how much I was going to need, and they only come in packs of 4, when I was talking to the lady in the shop, and you know, the knitting group, they said, oh, get some more just in case. So I got another pack of 4, and then I thought, well, with that, I may as well double up, and then I can make 2 jumpers. So I do have another 12 balls of this inside, and yeah, we're going to use it. I'm going to make another, so I've got 2 more double knit jumpers to make. They will use less wool as well, because they won't be as big as this one, because oversized, like we talked about. So yeah, I don't know. I will let you know what I'm going to do with them. I might iron them up and do a bit of a pattern so that it's not just constant back and forward with a stocking stitch. Maybe stocking stitch fronts and a bit something up the sleeve, or maybe, I know with the brown one it's going to be plain at the bottom possibly and a bit of something at the top. I don't know. Possibly honeycomb Oh, a honeycomb in this blue, that might be nice. Leave that with me, I will make a decision on that. So yeah, that's me, that's my introduction to me as a knitter. I don't think I missed anything. So I'm aiming to do this, we'll say monthly to begin with. See what you guys think, see what you guys like. There won't be much progress, and well, it depends on how quick I can knit this chunky up and this Aran, as to whether or not I can show you something in a month. Hopefully in a month I'll have done, you know, that much progress, as opposed to that much next week. So yeah, so that's the plan, and yeah, I think we're about done. So it's been an honour meeting you all. Thank you all very much for stopping by and watching. Hit the subscribe button and ring the bell, because then when I do the next one, it'll go up. Let me know in the comments as well whether or not you've enjoyed it, whether you want more, what you want to talk about. Male knitters, we don't get a big press. It seems a very feminine craft, and it shouldn't be. Men have been knitting. It's actually a topic that I'm planning to come on to, is the history of men knitting. Men who have knit in the past, why men would knit. Yeah, so getting it back out there, making it more gender neutral again. So thank you all very much for watching, and that's enough waffle from me, I believe, because I do go around in circles when I talk. So thank you, and I will catch you all in the next one. Thanks everyone, bye for now.